Hi there. This is Beth Green, and otherwise known as Granny Rocks, and Sweet Baby James. And today we are doing a pre-July 4th program. And the topic is a question for Americans and all of us on Independence Day. So it will not just apply to us, I think, but we'll see. So before we go on with our show, I'd like to introduce you to Sweet Baby James, who is going to introduce our show.
Evening, everybody. I'd like to introduce you to Granny Rocks Our World, which happens every time on Mondays and Wednesdays. Never ceases to amaze me. 6:30 p.m. Pacific, where she's going to share her wit, her wisdom, and her uncommon sense with us. So, without further ado, here's Granny.
Hello there. I had to get back in the picture. Poor James, he couldn't really see the picture because I had it covered up. Okay, it is. So Erica said good evening, and we would like to say good evening back to Erica. And this fell over. We are just so disorganized. What can I say? It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, and REA said, hi, Beth and James. So hi, REA. And Amy said, hello, Beth and SBJ. Sending you both love and thanking you for your wonderful shows. Thank you. And Elizabeth said, hello, Beth and James. Lucia and Luann are here. We're
Glad
so glad
to have
to
you
see
with
you.
us.
And we'll be glad to see anybody who shows up. Please feel free to comment during the show. So let me see. This is a big topic for me. And Tracy said, hola. So hola back to Tracy. So, you know, I've been thinking about this because tomorrow is the 4th of July in the United States, which represents our Independence Day. And I've been kind of thinking about what to say about that, if there's anything that I should say. And a lot of things started tumbling and jumbling around in my mind. So I'd like to address that, even if you're watching this after July 4th. And Todd said, hi there, you too. Well, hello, you won. So, okay. First of all, I'd like to say that I want to talk about a different way of celebrating the 4th of July. You know, for a lot of people, celebration of the 4th of July is about eating hot dogs, parades, picnics, fireworks, and all of that kind of stuff. Oh, and Larby, Jivanishan says good morning. I guess it's good morning over there, wherever you are, and it's good evening over here. And Larby said, hello, dear. Hello, Larby. So good to see you, really. So I'm talking about the American holiday, the 4th of July, but I believe that this will apply to all of us. So as I was saying, we have a tendency to celebrate by picnics, parades, fireworks, hot dogs, that kind of thing. And I think that I would like to look at the essence of July 4th and try to get something from that for us for today. And July 4th was the day, in 1776, was the day that the U.S. colonists published the Declaration of Independence. And I was, looking through it tonight, like, what the hell was in that? Anyway, trying to remind myself, it's been a long time since I was in elementary school or high school or any of those places. Okay, and so I wanted to look at the two major things that strike me about that Declaration of Independence. And I also want to talk about how did we win that war against this major, mega colonial power? And what does that have to do with us today? So, first of all, let's look at the Declaration of Independence. Larby said, this is good for you and good health. Thank you. It is. Makes me feel good. So, all men are created. This is essentially what, it says in the preamble. All men are created equal, and we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, which means that they can't be taken away, among which, not exclusively, are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, while we are eating our hot dogs, are we really thinking about that? Do we still believe that all men are created equal? Now, first of all, I hope we don't, because I hope that we've expanded a little bit and we think, oh, yes, there's women in there too. And, you know, at that time, they weren't really talking about Native American people or black people or.
But it does say all men.
I know, that's what it says.
And besides, you can also interpret the men as generic for
I like
all
that.
humans.
Humankind. But of course, it wasn't true, because at that time, women had, you know, very little rights, very few rights. So the question is, do we actually believe, us, that all beings are created equal? And now I want to just push that out a little bit. Does that include people with different political beliefs?
Yes.
Do we actually believe that they are people who are on the other side of the abortion debate or gun control? Do we believe,
Yes.
you know, not just, you know, heterosexuals, homosexuals, transsexuals, and what about the animal kingdom? And what are the limits of our pursuing our own happiness when we're hurting others? So it would be really good to stop and think about that for a minute. What does that really mean? Do I have the right to do anything I please? Do I have the right to blow up fireworks if it's going to create a forest fire, or it's going to disturb all the wildlife, or if it's going to hurt animals? Or do I have the right to tell you that you shouldn't do that? Do I have the right to smoke in public? And do I have the right to tell you not to? So it's, you know, it seems like we should be pursuing life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, unless it's getting in the way of someone else doing the same. And that would mean we really have to look at, you know, if we're stepping on other people. I'm getting on the bus and I see there's only one seat and my feet hurt. Do I knock the other guy over to get to the head of the line, right? Do I rush into the restaurant to get the better seat? And Halim says, hello. Hello, Halim.
Hello.
I think this may be the first time you've ever come on live, because I don't remember your name before on a live stream. So you are very, very welcome. So aren't there limits to our pursuing our own happiness if we are thinking in narrow ways? Aren't there limits to the human race pursuing its happiness with no regard to the animal kingdom, to the land, to the trees, to the vegetation? You know, I think we need to expand our thinking around that. So that's one point. I mean, the big point is at the end, but I just wanted to introduce that thought just to start with, to start getting our brains wrapping around that. And wouldn't it be great if we spent the day thinking about that topic? Now, do I have the right to pursue my own happiness if it means being greedy and hurting the people who are working for me, or cheating people in other lands, or dumping my garbage somewhere else? You know, do I? Okay. Now, the second big point in the Declaration of Independence is that when we are being abused, it is our right, and in fact, it is our duty to overthrow the government. I mean, seriously, to make revolution. That's what the damn Declaration of Independence says. So, do we believe that? Do we really believe that if people are being abused, that they have a right to overthrow the people who are abusing them, whether it's bosses or, you know, husbands or wives or mothers-in-law or a society or a state that's really abusing them? Do we believe that? You know, let's think about that. Or do we only believe that we have a right to do that if somebody is bothering us, but that other people don't have a right to do that if they think that we're abusing them? Well, certainly, you know, they're wrong. I would never do a thing like that. But I'm serious. Do we think that this applies to people or species other than our own? For instance, if we believe that a certain nation should be in our sphere of influence, like Cuba, for example, do we have a right to say that they have no right to get rid of us? I'm asking the question. You know, well, what about Jim says a government of laws, not of men? I like that, Jim. I would say right now we have a government of flaws, not of laws, and we probably always have. So I love that. we support it when other peoples feel they have a right to make a revolution against a government that we have an arms deal with? Are we actually that revolutionary people anymore, if we ever were, that says, hey, you guys, the Russians or anybody else that's, going to be rebelling against the Chinese, or somebody that somebody thinks is oppressing them? Yeah. Are we going to support that? So I want us to really look at that. But the most important thing is, if we are the ones who are the oppressors, honestly, we all oppress somebody. It could be, my little brother. You know what I'm saying? It could be my husband. I would never do that. No.
It's a little hard for your little brother to overthrow you.
It is hard for the little brother to overthrow.
Or you have to appeal to the parents.
And sometimes you need to overthrow the parents.
Yeah.
But, do we think about it? Do we actually believe that people have a right to get rid of those who oppress them when we are the ones who are, part of the oppression? And now, this is the third question, which I think is the big one. And then I'm going to bring it all together. How did we win that Revolutionary War? Now, it is true we got help from our friends, like the French, people who had an interest in getting the Brits out, right? And the British Empire was like flung all over the universe. They had a lot of obligations, but nevertheless, the American army, if you want to call it that, was made up of guys who didn't know what they were doing. And, there were very few compared to the British soldiers, and we didn't have good armaments and all that. So how the heck did we win? So you see, this is what irks me about some of our patriotism. We didn't win through military superiority. Slam dunk, hands down, obviously, history, right? We won because we were united. Now, I should say that most of us were united. And the reason I say that is that there were loyalists in the colonies, people who had emotional or economic ties to the British. There were slaves who did not feel any desire to support the American plantation owners, and who would have been happy to have sided with the Brits if they had been offered freedom. And in fact, some of them were, which made evidently the southern plantation owners jump into the revolution. Oh my God, nothing is clean or easy. But let's say most of us were united all over this nation, whether you were a farmer or you were an artisan or you worked in a factory. And we were, we had some centers like cities where the British could come and they could occupy, and really, but in the rural areas, it's hard to control rural people. We know we are rural people. Anyway, most of us were united. That's how we won. So now this brings me to the three big questions that kind of include some of what I've already said. Do we grant others the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, including those in our own household? Do we? And does that include the animal kingdom? How does it feel when the coyote starts to reclaim San Diego, right? And your pet is at stake. 2, do we grant others the right, the duty to rebel? And that's the coyotes again, or the mountain lions who come in and say, hey, you have taken over our territory. And we live in an area where there are mountain lions and bears. And I don't know how far I would go in supporting their right to rebel. I'm just being honest. I'd like you to be equally honest. But the third and most important question is, what can we Americans unite around, since we're talking about U.S. Independence Day? And what can we world people unite around? What about, first of all, who are we? just even speaking in our own nation, we're not all white, we're not all men, we're not all heterosexual, we're not all Christians, we're everything, including prisoners who have virtually no rights whatsoever. And we are not a nation of Republicans or Democrats. We are a nation of people who have a lot of competing interests and attitudes. And our world is made up of people who have all kinds of differences and who are at different economic levels. Oh my God, I was reading about it was the 11 poorest nations in the world. And, in some nations, 40% of the people are malnourished. I mean, it kind of makes you feel sick when you think about it, when we have so much trouble with waste in our nation. But still, I'm not, banging the tea kettle. I'm just saying, this is a hard thing. We have such different levels of economic development and wealth, such different attitudes. What can we unite around? What does unite us? At least I want to believe this in the, that could unite us in our own country. Oh, and hi, Debbie. She said hi to you both. Hi, Debbie. So glad you made it tonight. What unites us is the need, and I'm not saying that we all acknowledge this, but it is the need for a world that promotes caring, consciousness, and courage to do the right thing. We need mental and physical health for everyone who is in our nation and in our world. We need well-being for everyone on the planet, including the natural world that our behavior is driving to extinction. The palm oil industry is killing off the habitat of the orangutans. I mean, it's beyond belief how many of our species are facing extinction. And then we might be facing extinction if we continue with this global warming, the heat waves and so on. That is what should be uniting us, wherever we are, in this nation, outside this nation, is the need for a world that promotes caring. I read today, there was an article saying, no, healthcare is not a right. Oh, really? I thought that all men were created equal and that we all, have an inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Part of life is having enough health to sustain your life.
That's right, and part of happiness is the health to sustain it. Not to speak of the stupidity of allowing people to have communicable diseases and make your fast food McDonald's burgers or whatever it is, and spreading the disease to you, to the children, to everybody on the bus. I mean, it's just so. People, we still don't get it. We all have to be well. We still don't get it that when people are not, being taken care of, they will be resentful and they're much more likely to come and get you and be angry. And we don't have enough support for the mentally ill, and we have too many guns in the wrong hands, and so on and so on. So it seems like we don't have any common sense, does it? So I should have put number one. What unites us is the need for common sense. Anyway, do we care enough about creating a world that emphasizes caring and consciousness and the courage and nurturance to overcome our desire to dominate others, to overcome our fear of others' domination so that we can unite, to overcome our tendency to protect our own asses, and to overcome our desire to go into denial. We are seeing some good signs around this, but surely not enough. I don't care who you voted for in the last election. If you care about the same things that I do, then we are one in our intention. When more and more of us can unite around those kinds of intentions, then we begin to develop the strength to win this revolution, to overthrow the oppression that is still rampant, not only in this nation, but around the world, the corruption, the self-centeredness. Halim said, I will send you a message on your own. Please reply to my letter later, and thank you. So, that is my question to us for Independence Day 2019. This is not for us to take someone else's inventory and say what's wrong with them. This is a time for us to look within, especially in the United States today and at this time as we celebrate our independence. Let's make sure that we are independent of prejudice, cruelty, the misuse of power, and the tendency to think only of ourselves. Does that matter enough? And what about the very survival of our lives through the continued worsening of global warming? Can't we unite, regardless of our party, our race, our gender, our anything? Can't we unite to take care of our beloved planet and to become more conscious as beings? So I think I've said enough. So we're on Monday and Wednesday at 6:30 Pacific time. And we also do a live stream, Dreams of Peace, where I play the piano for you every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And Elizabeth said, yes, that matters enough. Well, bless you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Share this show with others who you think need to hear it, even if they don't want to. And please like and comment, and I will respond to you as soon as I can.
Okay.
Until the next time.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.